Hello, monkey. Alright, so last time we looked into fonts and a little bit into JSON, and we found out we can save a JSON string or some kind of string in data. So in a manageable way, like I can copy paste that string and have it always there. So I could make a thing for, I don't know, JSON, and then add everything there. So let's make a primary. Oh, hey Gargon, hello. Don't call me smooth, monkey. Business monkey. How are you doing, man? Yes. Are you good? I got some tea here. Still hot though. How am I? It's my last week before my vacation, so everything is on fire. But other than that, I'm fine. Luckily, there was no need for over hours, so kinda fine-ish. So, primary assets, data assets, and let's shape something. What do we call this? JSON data templates. And then all we have to do is add a string here. Call this JSON. And a string maybe. And then make this multi-line here. And you're good. Is your vacation also next week? And now could add some kind of test data and say data asset JSON, and then we call this test data. Ah, for how long? And then we could have some kind of JSON in here. 3 weeks, nice. I have 2.5 and then 1 week of work and then another week off. Any plans? Just my projects. As always. We have that. Now that the problem is we don't have any JSON reader. So either I write my own or I use the one from Unreal, but Unreal's one is firstly a beta and secondly it uses structs to make these JSONs. And I might not want to do that. I mean, depending on how the structs are read, I guess it could be just some kind of object. But it feels like it's too complicated. I just want to make a JSON. So to make a JSON, I would need a framework to create them and then write stuff in it. So do I write a tool then? Is there a JSON writer tool? But that's step 2. I first need a JSON parser in my game that then sends these things into the dialogue system. Hello, Jerla! Yes, I need JSONs. Don't we all need JSONs? How are you doing, man? Long time no see. You have too much? You can't have too much JSONs, man. Just give me one more, bro. It's my last, I swear. Yes, I'm actually over ready. Please put me into holidays now. Jella, should I write my own parser? Yeah, you should try some too, Gargon. Should I write my own parser? If I write my own parser, what do I need? Yes, but I don't know. I just want to own the code so I can control it. I'm more concerned about the part where I decode a JSON from string to objects. That might be not efficient via blueprints. Maybe. Depending of the size of dialogue or how many I have per level. Try and find out, Gargon. Let's think a little bit. Where's my paint here? Sorry for flashbang. Yes, I figured as much. On that note, Unreal already has a plugin for JSONs, but it's beta. So I'm like, should I use that? Or should I... You know... And I'm like... God damn it. Why would the Unreal not have a JSON reader already integrated? Why must it be still beta? I don't understand. Like, isn't this one of the most used game data ever? Yeah, me neither. I'm scared that it's beta. What if it breaks everything? And in the end, I also need to write some JSONs. I need to know what structure that is. I guess I can write it in from Unreal, since I would just encode it in string and then I would be able to see it. I just need to write it into a data asset and save it. Let's say we have different levels. And in these levels we have caves. In order to know what kind of dialogue is needed, I would need the level, I need the cave, and I need the the progress of the game or some flags. A custom binary? What do you mean by third party? And as soon as I trigger something, this needs to create a dialogue tree. And then can clean it up again. So every time we speak to someone, we need to read the JSON. I could also make the whole tree already, but I feel like on demand is better. Yeah, I wouldn't have third parties. All I need is some kind of JSON in my content browser, which I can save already. Then be able to decrypt it into a JSON object tree or object nodes, and then play it. I guess I would never have anything large enough to be a concern to make a tree live. Yeah, me too, man. They heavily close off any functionality with blueprints. They do want you to use C++ if you can. I mean, fair enough. If you know, then of course go for C++. I could too, but I see benefits in only blueprints. Or pure blueprints have its benefits. And since I'm not making a game that is heavily resource heavy, having C++ and then going through all that compile stuff, I don't know, I rather be flexible here. And all the code that I have is all in blueprints, which guarantees I'm pretty easy to port to platforms, I hope. But we will see. What do people say to beta JSON? I've used JSON blueprint utilities. Or I am coming across a few issues again. They are not cleared? This is 3 years old. I'm sure they're not developing on that front. Singleton? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I shouldn't use JSONs. Maybe there is a Unreal system for dialogues. Let's look. Unreal. Dialogue system. A Reddit post. They're all using some plugins. They're all talking about this thing. Let's find that. Whatever that is. Get free version, so it is paid. With license, I assume. Nice day for fishing is using it. I don't know, it seems like a little overkill for my project. Hey! That's actually not a bad idea. I could form a data asset as a node. Or a tree even. I could make like a big... but how do I then handle the translation? I could have some kind of custom data, but then how do I handle the text? What if I want to give it out to someone to translate stuff? Custom has its perks, but also there are some shortcomings. What else do we have here? Hi there. I set up a VN system. Okay, he is creditable. In a very similar way to you for my Unreal Final Year project. Okay, never mind. I ran into the same issue as you were scaling up the story all inside that it was not going to be very efficient. Yeah, I have the same problem. The knowledge I have now, I would definitely move towards using data assets and some sort of custom graph for linking the individual frames together. Not sure if you have knowledge of custom graphs, but I first found them through a plugin called Narrative blah blah blah. However, it's pretty expensive to justify, but I don't mean it. Okay, yeah, I mean graphs is not my problem. My problem is having the raw data. Translating the raw data should be easy for me, but it also needs to be transferable to a third party, which a JSON would be ideal, as I could have different text into one node. I could also form that. Okay, I have an idea. Okay, hang on, I have an idea. Monkey has idea. What if we go here and then make a data asset primary and say test data asset template. And then we go in, say, do we say? How do I form nodes? I could make an array that has like a starting ID and then ending ID with options, etc. That would be very bad to manage. I could make a struct that holds a node, a dialog, whatever. But the problem is I would need to form them into a graph. It would be easier if I had it like in an event graph kind of part where I can make these structs literally and then just add data in there. And then I would have nodes that I could connect with each other. My idea right now was, if I add these, what happens if I copy this into a text file? Okay, that's just a reference. So I would assume this does not copy. Well, that does copy. And I sent this to someone. Default value, multi-line, so all that crap. Okay, so that's a dead end. Also, I should make this text. Because if I do this as text, so I think there's also like some kind of translation. I do this text and go here, just like some kind of localization flag, and I'm not sure what that is. Unreal localization. Let's read a little bit on that. I think I will not be able to use this, but let's keep on going and see where this goes. Oh, ah, man. Yes, I only had 4 hours of sleep today. What's a MSGC text? A source string? Using the identical namespace and source text. I'm not sure what's going on this text. I couldn't sleep. I don't know. I need some kind of example, man. Tables. Okay, the namespace is the language then? Hmm. Anyway, I believe I cannot use this because I will animate and I don't know, highlight stuff, etc. So my text needs to know what kind of word is highlighted or animated or whatever. I cannot just translate a text and just put it in. It needs also more information about what word to highlight, etc. So, bye bye. Oh, okay. So do I have a JSON per dialogue tree? Do I have a JSON per dialogue trees in a level? Should I make an asset for every single dialogue tree? If I make an asset for a dialogue tree, how would that look like? Because a dialogue could be like this, right? There's a blah 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 blah. And then you press continue and then it goes to blah 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 blah. And then you press continue, it goes blah 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 blah. And then there's like a button here and a button here and it says blah or blah. What was that? And then if you press blah, you get to blah 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 and it terminates. And if you press blah, it says blah 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 blah, and then it opens a menu. So how can we put this into a data asset? I will not do that. So my biggest problem is I could make an array and then put this in and then put this in and then put this in, but if I have an array and we have then these two, I don't know how to order these without having references, etc. So I would need like a linked graph that I would need to write. But then if I do that, that's very custom. Like I have no problem to make a node. That's really not my issue. I can go here and say a data structure for, like, I don't know, test data node struct, and I can say I don't know, node ID node ID, and then text. I'm not sure I want string name, or I think I don't want text anymore. And then exit IDs. And this could be even a map of structs. And now, since we have this struct, I can go here, or maybe here, whatever, and then say test struct data, and then make this an array, whatever. And then I can go in here and then just make the things like start, next text, end. And I can say en or something, or us, whatever. This is now English. Say hello English. No English. Bye. And if I have it like this is not maintainable. This is extremely hard to maintain. If I go like, okay, this is now saved, and I messed up anyway, because this should not be in here. I actually need to make a test data asset here. Data asset of data set thing, this thing I actually need, blah blah blah. Then we go in here, and now I go here and say the things. And the problem is I always have to click, and I have to click here and then click here and click here to open the things to edit them. And then I also don't have a way to export this, I would assume. Wait, what is this? Wait, what? What is this? Edit selection and property matrix. Okay. Asset data test that. Yeah. I'm not sure. We have a root in columns. What is this? Can pin these? Oh. Can I edit this? No way. It just adds to the column. So I'm not sure about that. How do I add another line? What? Hello, Broly. How are you doing? What am I making? I'm thinking about a maintainable structure for dialogue. How did I open this before? What means new war? SQLite? No, I don't need that. That's overkill. Oh, this makes no sense, does it? I feel like it is buggy as hell. Let's see what Unreal has its documentation for data assets. Maybe there is some kind of way to form a data asset as I want it. Oops. I mean, yeah, I could do that, but also with blueprints it's possible. Sample assets. Okay. I mean, that's all clear to me, but... That all? I wanted to learn about the editor functionality. Like this stuff. How do you use this properly? Because this is not functionally useful for me right now. What is this even? This left part. It's the asset itself. Why can't I have multiple of this? Like, how am I supposed to use this? Makes no sense. Now what? Oh wait, I see. Just opens that thing. Okay, so we are in here. And we have different things. What happens if I press this float array array struct? Oh, it just concentrates on it. Ah, I could have a struct inside a struct and then go deeper and deeper here. It is still very two-dimensional. Or one-dimensional? I'm not sure. Alright, so we are in the float array, but nothing is visible there. So I need an initial value to... Wait, I can't even see it. Now I can see it here. And if you remove it, you cannot do anything. Oh, this is very, 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 very undercooked. Extremely undercooked. And you can't even look at maps. Huh. What do we do? I feel like this is not usable at all. Not at all. What did we even add here? I cannot edit this. I can edit this. This is useless. This is useless. Great idea, but they undercooked it. They didn't even go deeper and make it like manageable. They're like, yeah, you guys know how to use C++, do your own thing. They're like, whatever, we are going to make meta-human, or I don't know, like we expand on our Lumen stuff. And these very, very basic stuff is undercooked. Great. Thanks, Unreal. So, okay, we cannot use this. It sure is. On my... How many years am I using Unreal now? 7, 8? 7, 8 years. I have seen so many times that Unreal really concentrates on marketing stuff, where people are, wow, give me that new feature, instead of core issues. They're like really... They try to get people in, and then they don't care, because in one phase they are like, yeah, we need developers, and in the other one they are like, yeah, we are actually a AAA engine, so the developers know what they are doing. And then they have blueprints and whatever, everything friendly, whatever. Hey, we are restricting the user not to do anything. And then you're like, yeah, okay, why do you have it in the first place then? Just only give C++ then. It's like so a mess. Okay, how? I'm square one again. I don't know how to make my nodes in a way where I can handle translation or maintain it. So do I go for JSONs then anyway? But if I go for JSONs, even then, how would I form it in a way where I know what to do? So that doesn't matter. That really doesn't matter, does it? I could go for a custom node-based thing and then write an exporter and an importer. I think that's how this should go. Be right back. Okay, I am back. Can't you do it in switch note using int with ++ math? What? That's too simple. I don't want to just make a chain of dialogue. I have like a tree of dialogue. Like if you press on one option, it goes to something else. I mean, yeah, and then you could just tell it to go +2, whatever, or -2, go to way of thing, but in the end, that's also just a graph. If you do it like that, you could also just use IDs. The issue is not how to display or how to calculate the nodes. It's more like how to make it so that I can export it for other people to translate. No, I will not do different kind of things. That's not the problem. It will be a streamlined state machine that just goes into the nodes. That's not the problem. The problem is like having this asset and then being able to just write on it without getting confused. Because if I now go here and just add another array thing, it's closed. Like, look here, now I have to open this, write something, and then do another thing and write something, and then I need one more, and then, okay, where was my other text again? You know, this is chaos. This is chaos. Can't I make an object anymore? Does it need to be a blueprint? Ah wait, I can make an object from here. Test object. Does it have a graph? Yes. Can I have state machines? Or are they only for animations? Sad. Behavior tree sounds a little overkill. I'm not sure what it does, but isn't that AI? Let's see. Unreal behavior tree. Not sure how slim that thing is. Nah, I think behavior tree is way different than a state machine. Will not work out. More like you have like your routes and then your switches, then your leaves give you like whatever you want, but that's not how a graph works. Problem is, if I do some kind of thing, I just end up being in the same problem as data tables. Like it's the same thing. I have the same problem to fill these things. Hello, scene. Ah, no, I didn't. I just know how to make it. But that was like research. Right now I'm trying to find out a way to store my information about text. Because the way we save it will determine how easy it is to maintain it. And right now, I can't seem to find any good solution here. I feel like I need to make a data asset for a tree. And then I need to have a tool to extract or import text from a third party. That is a possible thing to do, like whatever. But the thing is, if I go here and then try to make a logic, it's not that easy. Let's try to form something. I mean, we will delete this anyway. So I need a struct. Node ID, that's correct. Text, now that's a dicey thing. Because I don't want to write English text all the time. So maybe we don't make a map. We actually go and add a value really. So I don't need to press another button and then call this English text, whatever. I need to how to say, give it a better name. And then the exits, now that's... How do I do this? If I do a map, it's again another click. But maybe that's how it is, because I probably don't need that many. I really need to make this as simple as possible and as flexible as possible. So if I say an exit ID is empty, we could say that it goes to the next entry. What have you learned about best practices for translation? Honestly, not much in Unreal kind of thing. They have their own localization thing, but I cannot use it, as my text will have some kind of, how to say, some tags in the text, whatever. I cannot just have... I could maybe, I'm not sure, but there are... It's complicated. I rather have everything in my face instead of having like to manage different tables or text. And I won't have external files. I will have internal files that I can import and export. So my idea is having like a solid base where I can work with it, and then build a tool to make JSONs for a translator at some other point, or some other data. Like maybe I have a translator for a Spanish thing, then I just need the text to get converted there, but I also need some kind of context for them, so I need to think about a tool so they can find the place in the game, so they have the context of what's going on. But that's like future monkey problem. Right now I just want to make some kind of data structure that I can maintain inside of Unreal pretty easily. I'm not sure if there is an industry standard. There are some files that seem to be standard. If you look into Unreal localization, they talk about their import and export functionality for it. So they go into cultural things and so on too. Yes, data tables are U assets. You can export data tables. You can go here and then say right click here and then say export as CSV or JSON. But I won't use them. Where was I? Here. So this node We'll probably also need some other information, but I'm not sure if I would add it into the text itself. But how would I tag it else? I need a concept of what kind of effects I want to have in my dialogue. I also need like a information about what kind of portrait is shown, and then be able to animate that, give it some kind of expression. Maybe that's overkill. I'm not sure. After all, I'm just a monkey. So we have this. I can go here and then just delete everything and just have an array of that test node. And then here we would have like the nodes. So if this is empty, I would say it just goes to the next. We would also need some kind of other things like, hey, go to this node ID or exit or whatever. Will you also do voice? I want to, how to say, leave that option open. But since I don't know how marketable my game will be and how much buzz I can create to make my game interesting for other people to work on it. Which means without buzz, no money. With no money, no hiring. As you know. So I would like to have the optional available, not closed off. So if I see the opportunity, of course I would like to have voice acting in my game. That is like if I'm able to pull that off, then I would say I'm successful. I don't know. I feel like that makes the normal dialogue then feel like very empty. Either everything is without dialogue or everything is with voice acting. If you only have like for cutscenes voice acting, it's, I don't know, it feels empty, in my opinion. Yeah, but side quests are extremely boring. Don't you think? When you talk to people in side quests, and before that you had a great cinematic with voice lines, etc., and then they are like little puppets not moving. Exactly, scene. Broly, cinematic as in animation. It doesn't need to be extremely whatever. I call it cinematic even... how to say? I define it as the player has no... a cutscene, you know? When the player has no control over his input and the game shows some kind of sequence, can be simple, whatever. I just call it cinematic because whatever. Just my definition. It doesn't matter what it's called in the industry. I just didn't have the word for it. Cut scene. As it stands, we will not have voice acting because it's way too much. But of course, monkey can dream. What is an FMV? Full motion. I could use my what is it called? My full body tracking to save animation data in Unreal and then play it. But I don't think I will render cutscenes. That's always a storage eater. No, not VTuber tech. This is just a camera. That's not what I'm using. I would use my... since I'm in VR chat, I have full body tracking. I use the Thunder trackers. So maybe with my lighthouses and the trackers and head-mounted display, whatever. Maybe I don't even need a head-mounted display and just strap one of the trackers on my head. I could maybe find a software that can translate that into some kind of motion. It's called Thunder Trackers or Thunder Lab. Like thunder. Like this monkey is not the full body tracking, that's just an iPhone looking at my face. Yeah, Tundra. Sorry, not thunder, Tundra. I'm so stupid. I mean, next week I will probably also make a new VR chat avatar and then see how that goes in VR. I will stream that. Gerlan, no, I am a real monkey. You didn't hear anything? A map is not the ideal thing. Do I need another struct to make something here? I need a struct that can tell me what kind of command I'm using. Like, do we exit the what is it? Oh, Serial, hello! My game, pretty good, I think. We made a lot of progress, and now we are stuck in dialogue. And I'm trying to find a correct way to start. I already have this kind of structure for my dialogue system here. We already have like the type, the contents, payload flags. I probably need something similar, but when I start with this, everything gets very, very messy and very hard to maintain, I feel like. But in the other end, without this, I'm not flexible enough. It's so hard to think of something that works for everything. Like, okay, the content will now be in this asset, like English, whatever, blah, 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 blah. This is the struct one element. So I can just put in whatever. But this should not be a name, this should be a string. Can I make it multiline? Yes, perfect. I mean, did I even ask ChatGPT yesterday? I don't remember. But I don't think there is a streamlined thing here. Maybe I'm wrong, but dialogue is always node-based if you make something complicated. And I'm not sure if my game will be as complicated, but I just want to have the option to have different options. That means trees. And if I have nodes making trees, well, then there is no easy way to save it. I mean, you can save it, but maintaining it is the problem. And yeah, I used data tables before, and that is very hard to maintain already. So I'm leaving data table behind, and I'm going for data assets, which I will form in a way that I can handle it. But as it stands now, it seems like I'm just making another data table. And then at that point, I'm asking myself, why not a data table to begin with? Yes, you can export data tables as CSV, but the problem is, if I export my raw data table, then I have many information that the translator would not need. So I need to make a tool regardless. And making a tool is not a problem for me. Yes, you can. serial. I'm constantly doing that at my job. That's you can just make a data table, export it as a CSV, open it with Excel or whatever, edit it, save it, and then re-import it into Unreal. That is possible. Okay, what if I have like a drop down for some kind of general operation which a node would have? Like the standard would be go next. Then all it has to do is fire the logic to go to the next node in the list. And then another functionality which is called go to ID. Then I would search for the ID and go for that one. I could even make a functionality which would be go to iteration, and then I could add a payload which says +1, +2, -1, whatever. It would be very, very computer sciencey and very not maintainable, but that's a possibility. But let's not do that, of course. Then we would need one for exit tree. We would need one for trigger logic, which could be like opening a UI, triggering a sequence, making something in the world happen. So I need some kind of, what is it called? An interface for logic, which I can then feed some kind of payload in, I guess. Am I cooking? Am I cooking or am I doing something very, very complicated? Let's find out after the ads. No, I don't have ads. Game data. I call this JSONs, but I should call this something else, like dialogue nodes or trees. I should call it dialogue trees. And then I need an enum. What do we call this? Dialogue nodes function enum. Enum. Okay, and then we say the first one is go next node, which will be the most used one. Then go to node ID. Then exit tree, which will close the dialogue. So it is like I have a text, and this is the functionality. So if I press the affirmation button, with this one it would go to the next, with this one it would go to the ID, with this one it was close the node. But what if I have a dialogue thing where I can press on multiple buttons and one of them is also exit? How can I form that? Like right now, we would have only one function thing, but what if we need a function thingy for every button we have in there? Sadly, I cannot tell a struct to have some default entry in an array. It's so stupid. Because right now, I would like to have an array of this enum. Like functions or something, I don't know. Dialogue function. And now I cannot just tell it to be filled from the get-go, because it's a struct. I cannot give it a default value. I can't even give strings a default value. It's so stupid. Unreal struct default values. So it says you can now have defaults, but that's probably just for the no, wait. Am I blind? What is this? This is from 2014, by the way, guys. Why can I have a default value back then and not now? Like what? Am I stupid? Did they disable this? Default values? Oh my god! You can have default values, it's just another tab! So now I can tell it to always have like one function always, which means go to next node. If I create another struct, oh no, my mouse battery is running low. Well, that helps, I guess. Hmm. Oh boy. Okay, that solves a little bit of my problems. But now, if I have like a functionality, I also need to tell it what kind of payload that functionality would have. Which means I would need a struct with an enum. What else did I do it in here? Payload flags? Why do I have flags? What did I use the flags for? Do I give myself some kind of flag? Where did I use this? Should I should investigate into this. What was my idea of flags? Okay, nothing here. Maybe in here. Flag. We are using flags here, which goes... Flags. Just add it into flags. And we never use it. I never use it ever again. Why did I have flags? What was my think process? It's a little stupid, I might add. Like here, flag. Zero, zero. Oh. Zero, everything's zero. Maybe in boss dialogue? Payload. Where did I use flag? Well, that can't be. I guess I'm not using it. Makes no sense. It's not in the search thing, so I'm not using it. Very strange. Strange indeed. Okay. So we need a payload and this, so we need to make a struct for this. Game data, then another struct. So we call this dialog node function struct. And this thing, node function enum, and then it has a payload. And then I can add whatever I want into the payload. We save that. Then we go here. I don't care about that one. Now this thing, functions, need to be set to struct function dialog whatever. Save that, go to default, add one entry, go next. Great, we are making progress here. So we have a node that has an ID. We could even make a node without an ID, whatever, it doesn't matter really. It just matters if we can go back to that node. But of course it would be nice to always give it an ID. Then we have the text. At some point I need to make a tool that exports and imports this text into our asset. And it has a exit ID. Okay, wait. Wait. I am forgetting something. What if we have conditions to get to our node? That should be a function, right? Let's say, I don't know, I talk to the strong man, and if he sees us normally, he's like, haha, you weakling or something. But if we beat the boss of the bosses, he's like, oh, Lord Saru, how are you? Or something. You know what I mean? So maybe I was using that as flags, but makes no sense. Now, I can of course use this as a function, but I feel like, what do we do if we need to check this at the start of a tree? How do we know where to go? I think the state machine needs an input to know where to start the whole journey. So that's a function to keep in mind. Maybe I should write that down, because we will not make the state machine today. Let's see. Keep in mind that so I would be able to fix, or how to say, avoid that problem. I just need some kind of logic starting a tree that checks for, I don't know, flags or something. But then, now we also need a conditional function. A conditional switch, if you will. And then in the payload, we could say blah blah blah, go to ID, blah blah blah, go to ID, or something. Okay, now I think I have a logical problem in my head. I thought if I have functions, if I only have one thing in the functions array, we just execute whatever is in there. And if I have two or more, we just make buttons to be able to press them. But if I add a conditional switch, then I would need a, how to say, a priority scan. Some kind of if-else thing, right? So it is a little more complicated. And it should, if we have multiple conditional things, and it should not be... Wait, no, I'm thinking wrong. Conditions will be in the payload. So it is still a button. Okay, so that's fine. That works. Don't have a logical error. What else? We need the trigger logic, which opens whatever. And I think that's it. We might need more things, but I think that's it. So, okay. We have the struct with a default value. This thing doesn't need a default value, or does it? I mean, it already has the default value because the first enum is the default and the payload should be 0 there. So having this is good. And here with the data, how can I delete everything? Here. I can set one node here, which is like the start tree node, and say hello traveler or something, hello Mira. And I could have some kind of tagging or whatever to use the name of the player or something. I'm not sure. We need to find a way to add tagging to animate parts of the text. And then this exit thing should have been built with some default value, but I guess it didn't save. Default is here. Functions. Exit. What's with the functions? So I don't need the exit IDs then. That one we can delete. Here, we don't need this. We only need the functions. Safe. Okay, and then... So I'm not sure why it does not have default value in here. That's a bummer now. That's so stupid. Does it have a default value if I write here something? Save. That one. Plus. Oh. So something is strange. Maybe I just don't have the correct data. What is this test data? So we make a data asset I would like to, but there's nothing to right click. Thanks Unreal for the user friendliness, for giving space to be able to press right click at every single time, you little I'm happy, monkey. I think we used the wrong... Wait, no. This here. So this is... Here. Okay, so we have the default there. I press plus. Unreal, why would you do this to me? Why? Why does the default not work? The error was from 2014! I don't understand, man. Imagine! It's more than 10 years! And they have this error, it's still there! Ugh. Can you believe it? What do I do now? Honestly, what do I do? Because this is now cumbersome to manage. That means if I want to add something, I need to press this, I need to press this, I need to press this. What? Wait, this is the wrong... Hold on, maybe it's my fault. Maybe it's my fault. Wait. Let's make sure I'm using the correct struct. Oh my god, I'm going to go crazy. Test, data, node, this one. Oh wait, of course, I also need to, make the default also it's not keeping it. What's going on here? Function. Functions. Exit IDs? Dude, this didn't save. Why is this still exit IDs? I'm getting scared. Uh-oh, 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 uh-oh. This will crash. It didn't crash. What is that? Why is that? Why does that look like that? Now it's there. Can I just right click and then make a data asset? No. I need to make data asset like this and then go test template. Wait, these are objects, we don't need them. Right click. No, still no. Data asset. Hello, data asset. Okay, and then test one, yeah, and then we go in. Add one, and hopefully it is filled. Good. That was scary, Unreal. Okay, so let's go this through. We have a node, we have a text, we will add other languages in here. Maybe even down here, so the important stuff for the logic is at the top. Then, wait, if I change the order of the thing, will I lose the information? Like, this one doesn't matter because it will stay like that anyway, but if I say the functions go up here, safe, how does this keep data? Well, it works still. That's good. No, it doesn't work because this is still here. I think this is not saving and setting it to the other things. When I change something on the structs, I need to restart Unreal to make it take effect. And it didn't even save. So maybe it was just the template itself that didn't save. I'm not sure. Where's Unreal? Here. Now the data asset is still something very, very crazy there. What does it say? Serialized loading. Unknown structure. Excuse me? But now it's correct. So if I change something in the struct, it seems to destroy everything. Save all. Okay, let's restart Unreal again. Maybe now it knows. Oh boy. No, it's still broken. Which means at the point where we do a change in the struct, it will kill our data asset. Or not kill it, but make some kind of error, which makes me very nervous. Test data. So if I have this now, I add, so this is correct. That's the standard stuff. This has the standard stuff. We save this, close it, we open it, and this will not be broken, hopefully, because else we have some kind of error inside Unreal and we cannot use data assets. Oh no. Why is that? It has a problem with this guy. Something is unknown to him. Array of struct. This is unknown. But why? If I have it like this, how about then? Does this work? Now we have two assets. Let's remove this. And it crashed, of course, because we had two of these assets. Send and close. Please, Unreal, fix. Thank you. Oh boy. Set. This is correct. Does it work now? I feel like this will also not work. Why does it have a problem with an array of structs? Like, it can't handle it. Will that one work? Because if not, then the whole data asset thing is broken in Unreal. Why even use it then? It is broken. Why is it like this? I mean, it's fine, I guess. Like, now I don't have the error anymore. But why is it not red anymore? What happened to this? Do we care? Should we care? Should we be careful? This can go. I'll need this. Alright, so as it stands, we have a node ID, we have a function which we can set into a go next, go to node ID, exit 3, conditional switch, which needs to have the payload, and a trigger logic. So this is easy. That's just go to the next in line from the current. This one just goes to the array that is here, and I should make this into a map instead. So we can actually go to these things. So I could also remove the ID here, but let's keep it in. Exit 3. I mean, at this point, I don't even have a tree anymore. In the end, everything will be just this array, this map. But that's fine. We will just load this asset and then that's our tree already. Even though it has no nodes. It has only these entries which are formed like nodes, but not literal nodes. Exit 3 is easy. Conditional switch. Now, this needs some kind of logic inside the state machine, which is not good. It would be better if I told in payload some kind of flag or flags that we check and then go accordingly. Same thing for trigger logic. This is a problem. Because with the trigger logic, if the state machine would need the logic, or else I need to ID some kind of blueprint map that we can access and then fire the logic, which makes it more complicated again. The idea was to have something simple here that can just serve as a interface, but can I use that? I think what I said before needs to be implemented. Some kind of logic blueprints that get spawned or whatever are already in, and then we access the functionality from there with a payload. We can say trigger logic and then just an ID, and then maybe we can give it more and payloads too. And then the actual logic node or asset can do whatever. It could be like a UI opener, and then that one just communicates with the UI controller to fire something, I guess. Oh boy. Okay, so am I missing something? Does my dialogue node handle everything we need? I feel like it does handle everything. The only concern one might have is that the tree has all the text and it's loading it into the game. So if we are in English language, we load the text for English, German, Spanish, Turkish, Japanese, whatever, at the same time for every single node. So maybe that's not a good idea. How can we not do that? So the idea was to have it simply here to make it maintainable, but the maintainability makes it so that it uses up more memory. I mean, it's just text. We are in 2025, that's not an issue. And what is the text? It's like 2-3 sentences maximum per node. That's nothing. Should I concern about this? Should I be concerned about this, or should I be like, just ignore it because it's like nothing? I feel like I'm trying to optimize something that's whatever. Right? I think I shouldn't care. I shouldn't care. Okay, let's say we have this. How would I export this into a manageable file for translators? I could say node ID tree and then node ID, and then give it the English text and then the to fill up text spaces as JSON or something. And then they fill it up and give it back. Then again, a tree and a node ID might not be good indications of where this dialogue happens. So maybe I also need some kind of ID and tree importer to set the player to wherever that is, but that sounds very complicated. It would be so ideal to make some animations just fire with an editor. Like, it would be nice if I had some kind of sandbox where I can set the background and the animation and whatever. So maybe when I think about cinematics, I also need to think about some kind of, what is it called? Flexibility is not the right word, but it fits, I guess. So I can just fire whatever I want. As in, if I fire it, it needs to have like positions and then just go without having the actual positions of the player and stuff. Yeah, I think cinematics might use not the data of the player, but just spawn a figure that can be animated. But again, that's cinematics. What if I'm in a dialogue? There should be animations in a dialogue too, right? Like the player just moving its hands when you play the thing. Can I see the context then? Yeah, we are losing information. My current system cannot handle a sandbox, cinematics player, or even dialogue player. For that, I would need more information, and that's overkill. Maybe just cheats? Give the translators cheats to be able to run fast, ignore encounters. Go to the places. Just activate the flags and stuff. Is that too much work? Oh well. I think that's it for today. Let's see. So I think next time we will start with the what is it called? The state machine. And then see how we can make a new dialogue system. I will probably have a very similar system than what I had before, but it doesn't use data tables anymore. Anyway, I think I will send you guys to a fluffy entertainer over there. But for now, Dean, Broly, Serial, Argon, thanks for tuning in. Did I miss anyone? I guess not. Ah, Jarla! Oh, I'm so sorry, Jarla. I didn't see you in the immediate chat. Anyway, everyone, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. And I will see you guys next time. Bye bye, monkey.